Examine each wheel's inner bore for manufacturing imperfections. This is best done with a light source applied at an angle to the direction in which you are looking. Discard any wheels in which you see imperfections in the inner bore. Choose 5 wheels to prep. It always seems that one wheel will wobble more than another. Additional items needed: a drill, tissue paper. Optional soft bristle brush such as an old toothbrush. This is used to help speed up the process if you're in a hurry. Examine contents. The 3-step wheel polishing kit contains the following: 3 polishing compounds, 10 smaller swabs, 4 larger swabs. Separate small swabs from large swabs. Cut small swabs in half. The next part of the video shows us how to prep our wheels. First, chuck the smaller swab in the drill. Important note here is not to use a rotary tool. The RPM range for a rotary tool will damage your wheel, even on low speed. Another name for a rotary tool is a Dremel tool. Another important note to remember is to always keep the drill in motion while polishing. Do not stop the motion while the swab is inside the bore. If the swab stops spinning while in the bore, the paper shaft has the potential to break apart upon spinning again. If the shaft happens to break off, pull it out with a set of pliers while placing the wheel under running water. Compound labeled number 1 is used to polish and fill manufacturing scratches. Dip the swab in the first compound labeled number 1. It will be white in color. Slowly advance the swab while on low RPM into the front portion of your wheel hub. This will be a tight fit, however, some of the larger bore wheels will not have as much resistance as the smaller bore wheels. If the swab feels as if it will not advance further into the wheel, remove the swab from the bore. Pinch the compressed back portion of the swab where the swab has become compressed and formed a lip. Then go back to polishing. Continue polishing in back and forth motion, rotating your wheel to a new position with every few passes for approximately 15 seconds. Flip the wheel and do the same process in the other direction for an additional 15 seconds. You may notice that the resistance will become less and less with each pass. This is expected. Repeat this process for the remaining wheels. You may use the same swab for your next wheel, or you may discard that swab and start with a new one. Resistance is desired as it is the elbow grease in this mechanical process. If the swab moves freely without any resistance, then it is time to discard that swab for a new one. Repeat this process for all 5 wheels. You have 2 options at this point. Time will be your guide. If your scout is doing the process, it will be a good time for a break as their attention span is less than adults. Let the compound completely dry at this point. It will be about a 30 to 45 minute wait depending on the humidity. If your time is limited, you can remove the compound left on the wheel with water and the soft bristle brush. Simply run the water and remove by softly rubbing the brush. Be sure to clean out the inside hub thoroughly. Let the wheel dry after this process. An air compressor is a quick way to air dry your wheel. Blow the wheel dry. Do not apply any type of heat source to increase drying time. Before advancing to the next compound, you will need to remove all of the white compound from the wheel. If you do not do this, then your next polish level will be contaminated and you will not be able to achieve the desired polish level. Examine each wheel carefully. Remove any leftover compound from this process with a soft tissue. Using a new swab, remove any leftover compound inside the wheel hub. This is a very important process. Slowly advance the swab while on low RPM into the front portion of your wheel hub. This will be a tight fit, however, the larger bore wheels will not have as much resistance as the smaller bore wheels. If the swab feels as if it will not advance further into the wheel, remove the swab from the bore, pinch the back portion of the swab where the swab has been compressed, and then go back to polishing. It is simply a few passes to remove the leftover drying compound. Look down the bore to make sure all the compound is removed before proceeding to the next polishing compound. If you used water to clean and did not completely dry out the compound, you could be possibly polishing again, as it is a water-based compound, and you simply thinned out the compound. Make sure the compound is completely removed. Repeat buffing steps for all 5 wheels. Compound labeled number 2 is used to bring a mirror polish to the inside of your bore. Please be sure that your wheel is completely dry prior to this step. After you've completely removed the first compound, follow the same process for compound number 2. Using a new swab, dip it into polish 2, polish, and then remove the compound as directed in the previous instructions. After polishing, remove excess polish, buff all remaining compound away as described in the previous steps. The desired result will be a clean wheel that has been completely polished. If you plan on using oil as your lubrication, then this will be your final step in the process. For graphite-based lubes, there is a third additional compound. Compound labeled number 3 is used as a final prep for graphite-based lubes. This blend will prepare the inner bore to a near frictionless surface. Please be sure your wheel is completely dry prior to this step. Buff the inner bore using the same process as before. Use the tip of the swab to polish the outer ring of the outside wheel hub, as this surface is where the axle head will ride. Important additional information. You have now completed the wheel polishing process. Be sure to only run your wheels on prepped axles. Do not use any raw, unprepped axles, as they will scratch your polished surface. Be sure to sand the sharp edges of the diamond tip axle, as they act like blades of a knife and will scratch the polished surface as well. This concludes our educational video. We wish you well in building your champion. Thank you.